in that aspect, and she helps us to just organize some things with parents and stuff like that. So she can go into the bathroom, if they need, or if they're taking too long in the locker room, she can go into the locker room. We can't do all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
got you. Yeah. That's good, man. I'm happy for y'all, man.
Appreciate it. So they're hard workers, man. They're hard workers. They don't mind.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? Is your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, I missed you guys, no doubt about it. I've been away for a couple of days. And not because I wanted to be, but just because I had to be. Had a lot going on with my basketball team and things like that. But I'm back in effect like Kemba Walker. Back and better than ever, I guess. You know what I mean? Big shout out to the Knicks tonight. Good win. I guess it's a big win because the Knicks needed to get a win. But good win over the Detroit Pistons. 105-91. It is the Pistons. Team that's on a 13-game losing streak or something like that. 14 game now. I don't know. Anyway, it's a good win for the Knicks. I think they played a good team game. We had some names out there on the floor that, we're not used to seeing anymore. Damian Dotson out there on the floor. And actually, Damian Dotson probably fits well with Tom Thibodeau. But anyway, let's talk about this game, ladies and gentlemen, because there's a lot to unravel. Even though we won this game, there's just a lot to unravel. I got my man, Uncle Fulio, with me, and we're going to talk about this. Josh, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling?
Salute, Sam. Season's greetings. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to NBK fam and the chat out there. Always glad to be back on. Great victory for us. So, I understand it's against the Pistons. And a lot of people are going to say, well, it's against the Pistons. And, they're the worst team in the NBA. But I think there's something that this team can definitely learn from and grow from. And this might be the start of something big. Who knows? So let's hurry up and get these guys back healthy. And let's see what we can be able to do.
Yeah. Tom Thibodeau is going to have a lot of decisions to make once everybody gets back healthy. A lot of decisions to make about who's going to start, who's going to be in lineup, all of that kind of stuff. So there's just a lot that he's got to do. Interested to see how it's going to shake out. You know what I mean? We'll see. Looking at the box score tonight, Julius Randle had 21 points and 11 rebounds. Shot 44% from the field, but only 16.7% from the three-point line. He didn't have the ball in his hand all the time. That was Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker had the ball in his hands a lot of time. And, he looked spry. He looked energetic. He looked like he was into the game. Maybe this was a little bit of a kick in the butt that he needed to just say, let me just go out there and play my basketball game, regardless of what anyone says. 21 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 38% from the field. He shot 33% from three. He played well versus Boston. He's going to make it hard for Tom Thibodeau to take him back out of the lineup if Tom Thibodeau had those thoughts. It's making it very hard. Evan Fournier, 22 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. He played well again. Mitchell Robinson, one of the best games of his New York Knicks career, 17 points, 14 rebounds, 3 blocks. I don't know, Josh. What do you think? Let's start with Kemba Walker. What does Tom Thibodeau do in this situation?
So I'm on record by saying I don't think Kemba Walker should get back into the starting lineup per se, particularly if there's a rift, some sort of rift in the locker room, and the egos getting involved or whatever. However, if they can somehow find a way to get back on speaking terms, and Tibbs becomes comfortable with Kemba Walker in there, I would have no problem with it. But I just want to make sure whatever rift or whatever that's supposedly going on in the locker room, if that's squashed, I have no problem with Kemba Walker getting back in there. Particularly if he's going to be aggressive, be the aggressive Kemba like he was tonight, be able to take some shots, be a little bit of taking the ball out of Randle's hands, which I think is important tonight. I wanted to see him do it a little bit more, because there was times where Randle was bringing that ball up, and I'm like, point guard, go get the basketball out of Julius Randle's hands. Why are you taking the ball out of bounds, first of all, and then when you pass the ball in, you run away from the basketball. Go get the basketball, point guard, right? So if he can just, continue to be aggressive, I have no problem with Kemba Walker getting back in there. We got to make sure that rift or whatever is squashed in the locker room, and I will have no problem with it.
Now, okay, so two things I want to talk about there. One, it's not going to be every single time that the point guard, whoever the point guard is going to facilitate the offense. It's going to go through Randle sometimes. Just like when RJ is there, right. Sometimes it's going to go through RJ. It's just the way that basketball goes. You know what I mean? I think without having a legitimate point guard out there who can facilitate and jumpstart the offense, and everything just goes through Randle every single time down the floor, that's when it really starts to wear on Julius Randle, because he only has so many times that he can do it. You know what I mean? You want it to be your guard, a guy who's used to having the ball in his hands all the time, who handles it, and jumpstarts the offense 85% of the time that he's out there with Julius Randle, and then the other, whatever percent Julius Randle can do. So there's going to be times when
right. I mean, of course. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be absolute. I understand Julius Randle has the ability to bring the ball up. I understand he has the ability to be a point forward. It's just that a lot of times, even tonight, twice in a row, we've seen Julius Randle bring the ball up, and they tried to do the dribble handoff with Fournier, and the Pistons jumped that, right? 2 plays in a row, and they got 2 fast break dunks out of it. So I just want to see a little bit more of Kemba Walker bringing the ball up the floor, whoever the point guard is, whether it be McBride, whether it be IQ, Derrick Rose, just to get the ball out of Julius Randle's hands a little bit. At the end of the game, Julius Randle was tired. Everyone in that lineup in the game was completely tired, with the exception of Mitchell Robinson. He seemed like the only one that had some energy at the end of the game. So all I'm saying is, I just want to see the point guards, instead of running away from the basketball, go get it. And we can't have guards, taking the ball out of bounds after makes. These big guys, let them, take the ball out of bounds, they run up the floor, and then, have some of the guards set up the offense. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, and I get it. But there's a reason those guys retired. I mean, Mitchell Robinson only played 24 minutes. Taj Gibson played 18. Nerlens Noel only played 23. Kemba Walker played 39 minutes and 58 seconds. Evan Fournier played 40 minutes and 44 seconds. Randle played 38 minutes and 15 seconds. And Alec Burks played 41 minutes and 22 seconds. So,
right.
Those guys are going to be tired at the end of the game when you're playing that many minutes. So right now, you just have no choice but to play those guys those minutes. The other minutes went to Damian Dotson, 4 minutes and 11 seconds he played. And then Wayne Selden had 8 minutes and 41 seconds. And like we said on the last stream that I was on, I think, if you see Wayne Selden in the game, there's some problems. You know what I mean? There's some problems if you've seen Wayne Selden out there. And the Knicks definitely have some roster problems right now as it pertains to just player availability.
No fault of their own.
No fault of their own.
Pandemic right.
So, player availability. But let's talk about that Kemba Walker rift. I read the Instagram post or whatever it is from the guy that says that he's in touch with Julius Randle, and people around Julius Randle were talking about Kemba Walker and his rift with Tom Thibodeau and all of that stuff going on. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, it could be, maybe not. I don't know. I'll say this. Kemba Walker doesn't strike me as that kind of guy, but I don't know Kemba Walker, right? I don't know him and what he's like when he gets with a coach. So I can't say that. He just doesn't, though, strike me as the kind of guy that's going to be disrespectful to his coach.
All I'll say.
I mean, he's been coached by some really good coaches in his career. So he's had some tough coaches in his career. It just, I don't know.
Here's my
hearsay. It's hearsay. But go ahead.
First of all, Kemba Walker has never been taken out of a rotation before since he's been playing basketball.
But this was before he was taken out the rotation.
Hold on, but wait, hold on.
Supposedly.
He probably already knew that that's what Tibb was planning to do or whatever the case may be. Now, I know all this hearsay, like you said, right? So that's number one. Number two, that's an elephant in the room. I get it. Kemba Walker's going to say all the right things. He's going to be the choir boy that everybody wants to hear in the media. And he's going to clap for his teammates and cheer whenever they're doing all that stuff. But there's still the locker room and there's still practice, right? And you cannot tell me that these guys, knowing that Kemba Walker's a veteran, a respected veteran around the league, right, don't feel some type of way. And this is the reason why I said Kemba Walker should have never been taken out of that starting lineup. Because I knew something of the sort. I don't know how big it is, but I knew something of the sort was going to come out, that it's going to be a rip between Tibbs and Kemba or what have you, and there's going to be some sort of split in the locker room. I don't think that it's a super big deal right now, but I think there was a little bit of fuel to that fire, and I still stand behind it. I think there's still something going on in the locker room. I don't think it's going to sabotage the season whatsoever. You know, if they continue to play like this, if Kemba potentially gets back in there, I think, you know, bygones will be bygones. However, you can't tell me that Kemba Walker's not going to feel some type of way and other guys in the locker room are not going to feel some type of way about that. I mean, I just struggle to believe that. That's just human nature, Sam.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, yeah, that's human for him to feel frustrated that he's not playing. And I think it's okay for him to express that he's frustrated that he's not playing, whether it's to the coach or if he's, you know, someone asked him a question in the media and he said, yeah, I am frustrated. I want to play basketball. I mean, who wouldn't? Everybody does. You know what I mean? But from what I read in that little post, it was way more than that. It was way more than just him being frustrated. You know, that post that I saw, you know, was talking about him, you know, in practice, cursing at the coach or whatever, disrespecting the coach in that manner. I just don't see that. That's what I'm saying.
He is from the Bronx. I'll just leave it at that.
I just don't see that. In my opinion, this is just my opinion. If he did it now, he did it before. You know what I'm saying? And most of the time, those players don't last in the league or don't last, you know, if you're in college and you're doing that with your coach, you're not lasting. He wasn't going to last at UConn doing that, guaranteed. You know what I mean?
He also never got taken out the starting lineup and out the rotation at UConn.
But what I'm saying is this supposedly happened before he was taken out. So the rumor is that incident is what caused him to be taken out. So, I mean, I don't know the dude, so I can't say anything about it. You know what I mean? Do I think that, you know, maybe there's something? Maybe it is. I don't know. Yeah, I tend to think that, or at least hope that it's not that. And that really, with all of the stuff that's going on with the Knicks, really just has to do with, you know, they are having a hard time fitting together. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking. That, you know, they're just having a hard time fitting together. I do think that Evan Fournier and Julius Randle, you know, because that report also said there's no issues between any of the players. I don't believe that. I disagree with that. I still think that Julius Randle and Evan Fournier have had some personality issues. It seems as though they're trying to work it out,
right, and
get better together. You know what I'm saying? I just have a hard time believing it about Kemba. That's all. That's just me. I just have a hard time believing it. You know what I
Only
mean?
time will tell. We'll see what the front office does with them. If Kemba Walker's going to be on this team, next season. I think that's what it really comes down to. I guess that's when we'll be able to find all that stuff out. But for right now, I'm happy we got the win. I think Kemba Walker played well, and he's showing the league. I had no question that Kemba Walker can still start in this league, right? He showed the league and he's showing everyone, including Tibbs, that he still can start. So hopefully they can be able to fix it, and we can get back to having a stable starting lineup, but as of right now, we just don't know. And definitely Tibbs has a tough decision to make.
Yeah, I mean, in your gut, do you think Kemba Walker is going to be the starting point guard going forward? I mean, you look at right now, he's going to be the starting point guard on Thursday for the most part, right? Maybe even on Christmas. It's going to be the starting point guard. And if he plays well and the Knicks win, he can't take him out. How can he take him out? If the Knicks, if by the time players come back, the Knicks have won 3-4 games in a row, if you can't justify taking him out the lineup.
Sam, all I'm going to say is only time will tell. I think those questions and how they get answered, if Tibbs decides to play them when the young guys come back, or if McBride somehow hops in the starting lineup, or someone else outside of Kemba, I think you'll have your answer right there to everything that we're talking about.
I mean, you're right. You're right. You're right.
So only time will tell. I mean, I'm hoping that it's no rift there. I'm hoping that Kemba can somehow get back in the starting lineup, because I think overall for the organization, it's just a better look. It's a better look to have Kemba out there. That's the guy you signed. You parade him around, the hometown kid and all that stuff. So I'm praying for the sake of the organization that there's nothing really there and the Knicks can be able to move forward from this. But again, we got to see when these guys come back.
Yeah, no, you're right. We got to wait and see. It's just hard for me if the Knicks are playing well and winning basketball games. If from everything that Tom Thibodeau says, it's about winning. That's the bottom line. That's the answer. Win games. That's the answer, right, to everything. And if you're winning games with a certain lineup, I think you keep that lineup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what you got to do. Anyway, the Knicks have won 2 of their last 3 games, and they kind of got a weak schedule coming up, so we'll see. Big shout out to Fred Wong. Thank you for the super chat. He said, with Kemba, we look like a team that can beat anybody. The most important stat is wins and losses, not a player's defensive rating. Well, I mean, that's true. That's definitely true. That's the most important stat, wins and losses. A player's defensive rating could be a part of those wins or those losses. You know what I mean? Let's talk about Evan Fournier. He's been playing well as of late, right? What's your take on Fournier right now?
This is why we paid him the money. I mean, this is precisely why we paid him the money. We got Evan Fournier here to knock down shots, point blank, plain and simple, right? And it seems like you said, him and Julius Randle are starting to, build up their chemistry. They're starting to play way better together. But I think what we're seeing from the Knicks offense right now, and I think it's, not to, it's not changing the subject, but it's really talking about Fournier himself. I think it's because of the lineup that's out there on the floor. I totally think Alec Burks deserves to be in the starting lineup, not as a point guard, but as the starting 3. As the starting 3 with Fournier as the 2. I think that lineup that the Knicks had to shout out to start the game tonight, as well as the lineup they used to close the game, is the lineup they should have to start games. I think that lineup works very well together. You see Fournier being very, very confident in his shot, taking shots that's there, the dribble handoff with Julius Randle. And then you have Alec Burks there being someone who is not just a stationary target that can just, sit there and knock down shots off the ball, but he's also dynamic enough to go get his own shot, to create off the dribble and get Fournier open and get Mitch open and things of that nature. So I'm very happy with what Fournier is doing right now, but I think it's the product of the lineup that's out there on the floor, and I think that lineup works tremendous together. I'm very pleased with what Evan Fournier has been doing lately. Okay. Very, very pleased.
Let me ask you, do you think, is it the product of the lineup or, the lineups that's out there on the floor, or is it a product of him knowing, I'm not going to be snatched out the game, so I can just play. I don't have to look over my shoulder because we just don't have enough players. He has to put me in the game. Do you think that's part of what we're seeing on the floor? Because in the past 3 games against Houston, 23 points, 8 for 12 from the field, 3 for 6 from the three-point line. Against Boston, 32 points, 13 for 24 from the field, 4 for 10 from the three-point line. Against Detroit tonight, 22 points, 9 for 24 from the field, and 4 for 11 from the three-point line. He's taking more shots over the last 3 games. Is he a benefactor of the COVID issues right now? You know what I'm saying? And him just knowing, I'm not going to get taken out of the game. I'm going to play major minutes. Look, 28 minutes versus Houston, 43 minutes versus Boston, 41 minutes tonight against Detroit. And maybe this is exactly what he needed. What do you think? I mean, is it him getting more comfortable, or is it just him being able to play freely and be aggressive, because he knows he's not coming out the game?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think, him and Julius Randle getting on the same accord, they had a little bit of a dust up, or not really a dust up, but a little bit of an argument in one of the previous games. And I think they're just kind of coming into their own. Like, we were talking all the time about Fournier, him not, playing well. And the Knicks front office probably missed, by bringing him in. But I think, like you always talk about, it always just takes time. So I think now Fournier's starting to come into his own. He's starting to be that reliable guy. And I think it's all of the above. I think it's all of the above. And these COVID, this is a blessing and a curse. Obviously, you don't want to see anybody end up in health and safety protocols. But, I think this is a good situation for the team as well, because guys are now starting to be a little bit more confident with their shots. Fournier's being more confident with their shots, and Tibbs got an opportunity to see, who really wants to play. So I definitely think that it's a little bit of everything, and I think we're a better team for it.
Yeah, I guess, if COVID was going to happen and hit the Knicks, this would be the time for it to happen, right? When we're, going into the lighter part of the schedule. You know what I mean? But we know we need to get everybody healthy and get everybody back in the fold, because when we get to the middle of February, schedule gets really, really tough. You know what I mean? And hopefully we're going to be playing, at our peak at that point, because, that's a point in the season that can really make or break this team, in my opinion.
He's also been active on defense, too. Fournier plays some really good defense, really good hustle plays tonight. So, obviously, if you do that, you're going to stay on the floor. So, it's not just the shooting. It's also what he's doing on the other side of the ball, which he deserves some credit for.
Right. Julius Randle, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists. 1975, Jamrock said, thank you for the super chat, by the way. He said, why does Julius Randle turn the ball over so easily and so stupidly? You got to ask Randle. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? He had 6 turnovers tonight. I think he had.
Yeah, I mean, it's just way too many. And like I said, there was times where I'm watching Julius Randle literally bring the ball up the floor, and the Knicks trying to run the same dribble handoff play, and the Pistons was sitting there just waiting for him to do that, and was very lazy. There was a play he came down, tried to dribble the ball behind his back, and then I think that's Diallo or Saban Lee came and took the ball away from him and got a fast break point. So that's all on Julius Randle. That really is.
Part of it is that Randle. I have a player that's very much like Julius Randle. Right? She plays she's all over the place, up and down the floor, guarding 2 and 3 people. I have to reel her in and get her to really understand who she's guarding and when I want her to switch to someone else. She guards 2, 3, 4 people sometimes in one possession, all over the place. She'll miss a layup. She'll miss 2, 3 layups because she's rushing up here, but in that same possession, she'll miss a layup, the other team with the rebound. She'll snatch it from the other team, go back up, miss a layup, snatch it from the other team, go back. She literally did this on 3 or 4 occasions last night when we played, right? And it's all because she's rushing. So while she can make a great play and snatching the ball back after she's missed, she can't get herself under enough control to easily lay the basketball in when she's created an easy layup. She's always the fastest person on the floor, always the strongest person on the floor, but she gets herself into a lot of trouble because she can't control her speed. When she's playing, she can't see what's in front of her, and she's going so fast in her mind, she can't decipher what's happening out there on the floor. A lot of times I think that's what happens to Julius Randle. He can't always decipher it quick enough. The game, while it's compared to maybe some other people, it's slower to him than to some other people. It hasn't slowed down enough for him where he can really understand and be able to look 2 and 3 plays ahead. I don't know if he's ever going to be able to do that. You know what I mean? If he was able to do that, he would be, so phenomenal of a player because he has the talent and the speed and the power and all those things. Who knows? Maybe he'll get to that point like DeMar DeRozan is now, where DeMar DeRozan is just very seasoned and, he knows what the defense is doing and where it's going, and he knows what moves he can execute. Julius Randle still has some time to get to DeMar DeRozan's age, and maybe he'll become that season. But I think that's a lot of why he turns the basketball over, just not being able to see and understand exactly what the defense is going to do and what's probably going to happen. And some people get it quicker than others.
Yeah, and Sam, given all of that, and that's totally true about Randle, and that's on him. No one's making excuses for Julius Randle. He can't turn the ball over 5-6 times a game. He just can't do that, right? But the other part of that is the point guards have to go get the ball from Julius Randle.
Well, yeah.
Kemba Walker has to go get the ball from Julius Randle. I've seen time and time again. Even though Kemba Walker did run a lot of the offense tonight, I've seen time and time again. Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, Alec Burks, these guys have Julius Randle taking the ball up the floor. One of these guys are inbounding the basketball from out of bounds, and then they give Randle the ball, have him running up, and they go to the weak side. They literally go away from the basketball. So one of those guys, all of those guys being veteran players, have to go to Randle and say, I got it. Let me run this. Let me run it. Let me set you up, and let me get you in your spot, right? Randle, sometimes he can bring the ball up the floor. He can sometimes do that, and he can sometimes create, by bringing the ball up the floor, and that dribble handoff is there. But when it happens too much, teams start to key in on it, and then that's when the turnovers start to happen. Early in the game, I think Julius Randle was okay, right? But as it started to happen and the game started to progress a little bit more and more, those turnovers are going to build up. So I totally agree with you. I think Julius Randle doesn't pick up the game fast enough, but because he's in that situation, the guards have to go get the ball.
Yeah. In 1975, Jamrat said he's just lazy and casual with his dribble as well. Sometimes he is. Sometimes he just does too much, things that he doesn't have to do. You know what I mean? Where he can just go ahead and, make a quick move to the basket and get it done. He over dribbles or, over commits himself and things like that. And some of that really boils down to understanding the basketball game and seeing the basketball game, seeing the defense and being able to understand what the defense is trying to do and wants to do. And I just don't think he gets basketball in that manner. He's a brute. At least right now in his career, he's a brute. Be a brute. It's okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let me get to the call here. Spree, what's popping with you, bro? How you feeling?
Spree.
I'm good, Tim. How you doing?
I'm cool, man. I'm good.
Good. I think Kemba's going to continue to start because of the COVID. It's going to force them to continue to look at it.
Right.
Which is fine. Just continue to roll him out there. He competed, gave me 5 assists. He gave me 8 rebounds at his size. So he's definitely engaged. This has motivated him. He's a good teammate. He has a skill set. We know the defense. I don't know. All I know is that I thought he competed harder, and I thought he got help. Even when he did get beat by Mitch, who to me looked like a different player tonight, I don't understand why I can't get – I understand he was working his way back, but that's not the same guy I've seen the whole year. I don't – how do I explain that to my children, what I saw from Mitch tonight?
How do you explain it to your children? Well, the only thing I can say to that, Spree, is development is not a straight line.
And put down them cheeseburgers.
That's the only way that I can explain it. Development isn't a straight line. So, when you're developing as a young player, you're gonna have some games where you go out there and you really get everything. You know what I'm saying? And everything is happening for you. then, can you repeat it? Can you be consistent enough to repeat it and do it again and do it again and do it again? Of course, your great players are able to go out sometimes even from the beginning and just do it again, do it again, and do it again. And then some players, it takes them a little while to figure out, how to be consistent in doing it. And so you see it. They do it one game, then one game they don't. Then they do it for a couple games, and then a couple games they don't.
But why did he play hard tonight? Like, he could have, I know he could have worked him. I know he was working himself back into it, and that's like a shape thing. That's like a huffing and puffing thing. But in the minutes he was given early on the season, I didn't see him crashing the glass. I didn't see him contesting without fouling. Obviously, the alley-oops, that's on the guard. I'll give you that, and that may motivate him. But
I think that's a big part of it, too.
Why is he playing harder?
I think that's a big part of it, too. He's touching the ball a little bit more. And, I know they're professional basketball players. We talked about this before. I know they're professional basketball players, but they're still human beings. And anybody, when you get more touches, you're going to have more energy.
Okay.
To play on the other side of the floor.
I mean, if that's all it takes, if it takes getting Mitch touches to get me I don't even need 17 and 14 for Mitch. That's the thing. I just need that energy and that effort because that changes my opinion on him as a player.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know, man. I just the Fournier thing too. I've noticed what they've started to do, and he's in a nice little rhythm. Is I like Evan actually handling it a little bit more away from Julius at the top of the key, where he can survey it and go a little more north and south instead of west-east. I mean, sometimes Evan goes west and east like a running back, and we're getting behind the line of scrimmage. But if I can get Evan north and south, he can give me those little floaters and get closer. But he got some good looks. I'm not saying he shot it amazing, but I like the way Evan's playing a little bit these last few games. And I'll say this about Julius. I disagree, Sim. I want to get your take on this. Mm-hmm. Mike Breen said that it's all about just his shooting. That's changed, the three-point shot. That's the reason why it's completely different. Yes, I agree that is a reason. That's not the only reason, and you know that. That's not fair. I don't think
only reason for what? Only reason for what, Spree?
For why we haven't seen the all-star Julius that we saw last year. I think, obviously, the three-point shot hasn't been there. That was a big part of it, but I'm sorry. No, the turnovers, the energy and effort, I know he turned it over last year, but to me, he's turned it over more. I have to look at the stats to back up what I'm saying, but I didn't see and also another thing, I think a lot of it is people could laugh at me. There were no fans in the stands last year. I think it's easier to shoot a basketball for Julius when it's really quiet with no fans. To that, you say what, Sim?
About the fans?
About the fans, and also if it's just is it just the shooting that's been the difference? I think it's been a lot of reasons. He's had to figure it out with new teammates. I don't think he's playing the same defense and the energy I saw last year, and I think he's turning it over more.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of things. I don't think it's just the shooting. There's clearly more than just the shooting, right? Yeah, I think everything that you just said. Playing with new teammates, trying to figure that out. I think also this year is very similar, in my opinion, for Julius. And big shout out to 1975 Jamrock. He said Mitch admitted he was still out of shape recently. He probably is getting in shape as the season is going on. But back to Julius. I think he's in a very similar situation to his first year, but on another level. His first year, Julius Randle was trying to be the man. Remember that? Right? Yeah. And he admitted as much. He was trying to be the man. Last year, he became the guy. He had a great season. All NBA, second team All NBA, All Star. The Knicks make the playoffs, all that kind of stuff. This year, there's another level. And I think he feels like he has to go to another level. And I think he had been, at least in the beginning of the season, really trying to go to that level. And teams are focusing on him defensively. Teams have schemes to, they know where he's weak. They've seen him over the last 2 years, and they know he doesn't get the ball out of his hands when a double team is coming. They know that he can be confused from where a double team is coming, and I think he's seeing way more of that this year. You know what I mean? And with him trying to be the guy, I think he's in a similar situation as he was in his first year, but on another level, on another scale. And he's trying to adjust to that. Will he be able to adjust by the end of this year? I don't think he's gonna. Will he adjust next year? Who knows? You know what I'm saying?
Do you think Randle's defense was better last year, or am I seeing something
I think
wrong?
It was way better last year. I think it was way better last year.
You think it was way better?
I think it was better last year. Yeah, I think it was way better.
Agree.
I think it was way better. I've seen him more. I've seen a few times this year him do it, but I think there were just way more times when he was really, really active. One-on-one.
People think it was just the teammates like Bullock and Elfrid that masked some things with Randle. Randle was a good defender
I feel like he was a good defender. And then people will tell me I'm making excuses. I'm not making excuses. I'm just putting it all out there on the table. I think you also have to take into account that he had a new child. You know what I'm saying? So, now there's different circumstances that he's dealing with too. You know what I mean? It's not
you
all
buy the fans in the stands thing?
No,
I don't. He's been playing in a league with fans in the stands for years.
But I'm just specifically talking about shooting, just that. When it comes to fans in the stands,
I don't think
the
so.
fact that he was shooting lights out last year in an open gym. It's very quiet. You can focus more around the rim. Because he's getting this. I mean, to me, he's getting the same shots. I think
he's getting the same shot. I don't think it's that. I think it's he had a good year shooting, and everything is gonna things are gonna normally fall to their mean, and so I guess the question with all of us was, what was the mean? Was that the mean for him? The 42%, was that actually the mean for Julius Randle, or not? You know what I'm saying? I think most people probably expected his shooting to fall a little bit, right? It's fallen a lot. What's he shooting, 34% or something like that from three this year? Right now?
I could check it. I think that's, something in the 30s.
Spree, this is Uncle Julio. Would you say the same thing about R.J. Barrett?
Last year, as far as shooting, yeah.
So you think it's because of the fans that all of the Knicks players
By the way,
somehow...
Randle is 33.5.
33.5% from three this year.
Yeah.
So what about R.J. Barrett, Spree? That's what I want to know. Is it because of the fans, or are they just having off shooting years? Because I don't buy any of it as far as the fan stuff. I don't buy any of that.
I mean, so I'll say this. RJ went through stretches where he didn't shoot it well last year, especially early. He got into a really good groove. According to Tibbs, he came to the gym very late last year and grooved his shot. And then I was very comfortable with RJ just shooting from everywhere last year on the three-point line. I mean, I don't know if I think the fans thing with Randle more than RJ. I don't know. It's an easy thing for me to say. I looked at the way Julius shot the ball, and I know it's every season's different, and you can go to the mean. I get the whole math thing, Sim, and maybe it was a little fluky. He shot it so well. His form was so perfect. He was in such a good rhythm. I don't know. I'd like him to shoot the ball better. Yeah, hopefully he will.
Yeah. I mean, and listen, if you look at Julius Randle, he looks really, really tired. Even before the game starts.
Yeah.
He looks really, really tired and really, really stressed, right? And in that little post that we read, it talked about Randle feeling really, really stressed out right now. It could be due to stuff happening on the team. But it's not an excuse, ladies and gentlemen. Randle's, he played okay tonight point-wise and stat-wise, but he didn't shoot well from the field. I'm not trying to make excuses for him. I'm just saying what's there. Having a child is, you have a baby, it's tough. He's still, I know he plays basketball, but his wife still expects certain things from him. You know what I'm saying? And most human beings, when they have a child, they go to work tired. You know what I'm saying? Because while normally he might be able to sleep all day and be ready to play his game, now his wife is like, hey, I stayed up all night last night. Your ass staying up today. I'm getting some sleep.
Yeah.
I know you got a game, but you're staying up today. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? So, some of those things, and for all of these guys, some of those things happen. And, they got to fight.
I'm going to monitor his eyes just to see if he does get a little sleepy and tired. I'm going to look at I want to look at that because I've never actually looked at him if he's got bangs under his eyes. Maybe he is tired. Maybe because of the child. And that's look, that's a part of everyday life. Like you said, Sim, nobody wants to hear it. I know he's a pro, but look, hey, I just had a kid, and I got to go to work the next day, even when I don't get much sleep. But it's just, I like Julius. I think he can get back, but we're all trying to find reasons. At the end of the day, it's 30 games into a basketball season, and the reality is we don't know. We don't know everything. Yeah, I just know this, Sim. If Kemba can give me this with effort, let's see it. Let's put him back in there. At least with the COVID thing, they're going to be forced to at least see it more. Let's see what Kemba gives us the next 4 games before we start getting people back. If Kemba can do this, Tibbs is. I heard him say today, if you play the post game, I play guys based on how they're doing right now. So I think he's back in the rotation for now. We'll see.
Yeah, okay.
That's how it should be, Sim. Like my problem is like people like that are hating on Tibbs or hating and I respect Jamal Crawford. He's backing up his guy as an NBA guy. We all hate to see Kemba because what he's done in the league, but the reality is he wasn't good on defense. If you watch the games, you saw it.
Right. Yeah.
So we just got to be fair about it. We just got to do what's best for the Knicks. If what's best for the Knicks is if this motivated Kemba, and now I got at least Kemba scoring the way he should, getting other people involved, and he's at least competing. I don't think he's ever going to be a great defender, but he's at least trying for me. That changes my opinion on whether or not he should play for us.
Yeah.
So we'll see, man. I don't have all the answers, but Folio, I know people think I'm an RJ hater, but we need him back. We need everybody back. But that's all I got.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Appreciate you, man.
All right.
Appreciate you, Spree. IQ, let me see. Who said that? I don't know. I'm trying to find who said it. I'm looking in the chat. I lost it.
That right there?
No, I'm not. I ain't worried about that. Somebody said, no. Where'd they go? Oh, Greg said, Sim, they have nannies. Just because, I know the guy has millions, right? It still doesn't mean that him and his wife chose to have a nanny.
Or that the wife doesn't have expectations for him.
Or exactly.
Not a nanny, right.
It doesn't mean that they did that. You know what I mean? There are plenty of people who choose, I'm not going to have a nanny because I want to bond with my child, more. Not to say that someone who has a nanny doesn't bond with their child, but, it's everyone's, they have their own way of life. So I'm not just going to assume that they have a nanny. I'm going to err on the side of caution and assume that him and his wife are, like most everybody else in dealing with the pressures of life with a new baby. Whether or not you buy it, you don't have to. I'm not saying that that's the only reason he's not playing well, but I'm also saying let's not negate that as being part of the reason that he might not have the same energy that you've seen before. If you haven't had a child, one day you might, and you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. Tony Crow, what's popping, bro? How you feeling?
What's good, Sim? Shout out to the chat. Uncle Fulio, Yo Black is Time. Rapper Old School just said that too. He's like, until you have kids, you never understand. Somebody else in the chat said Burks has been in a slump since his child has been born as well. So I think there's some validity to that. And I've experienced myself when my daughter was a newborn. And it's an adjustment all across the board. Even with his other son, some things they would do together. They may not have time to do, or got to make time for him, so he's not feeling left out.
Exactly.
So
all of those things come into play, man.
It's a bunch of things that come into play with that. So I'm sure that that could definitely affect his game. I think you made a great point comparing it to his first year. And it's a constant adjustment from year to year. Even I think he's kind of pushing, trying to and get his teammates involved a lot more this year. And I think he's not being. I think he needs to be more selfish, more strong in the moves that he's making, decision making. But yeah, I'll tell you what though. This is what at least I envisioned this type of game with Kemba playing well, Fournier playing well, Julius not shooting well. But I mean, if you get two guys playing well, you know what I mean. And Julius, he hasn't been playing well all year, but he's still been scoring. You know what I mean. Like his numbers
and rebounding.
Yeah, and rebounding. His numbers dipped, but they're still good numbers. You know what I mean. Like if you're not comparing them to last year, you know he's putting up good numbers, even with bad shooting nights. But it's a long road ahead of us.
Tony, can I just want to pop in for just 1 second though? I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Because Greg said,
you looked at the comments. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, Greg said. So then, when he's interviewed by the media, he should mention that. Then, but he never does. Also, you have people like Giannis that has a child, and you don't see him with the lack of energy. One, you don't see Giannis every day. Okay, maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe you do. I don't want to assume that you don't see Giannis every day. You know, I don't see Giannis every day, so I can't tell you if he has a lack of energy or not. And only Giannis can really tell you if he has a lack of energy. Number two, he's not Giannis Antetokounmpo. Those are two totally different people with two totally different lives. So the way one thing affects one person is not the way another person is going to affect that person. And one more thing, Josh. And number three, it's none of our business. He don't have to say it in the media. He don't got to tell us, oh, my child is staying up at night, so I'm up with my child. That's none of our business.
That's what I was going to say.
And if he did say that, just like Evan Fournier with the steak.
It's an excuse. We laugh at it.
We would laugh at it. You know what I'm saying? We would say, oh, he's making excuses and this and that. And I know. I laughed at Evan Fournier with the steak because I thought it was funny. I wasn't laughing at the fact that he could have possibly had food poisoning. Maybe he did. I just thought it was funny at the time. But people would say, oh, now he's blaming the baby, this, that, and the third. It's his right to keep it to himself and not expose his family life if he doesn't want to.
This is the toxicity of Knicks fans. This is why I say some Knicks fans are just as toxic as the national media. Stuff like that. That is just ridiculous. Like, he doesn't owe you anything. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't owe you anything. Please.
Yeah. Gotta tell me that. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tony. I just wanted to comment to that.
I'm laughing at some of the comments and enjoying some of the comments too. But shout out to you, man. It's been a long time. I feel like I haven't been on in
I feel like Julius. I feel like Julius Randle right now. I feel like Julius Randle right now because I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been running around all over the place. So I'm choosing to say it publicly. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been running around and traveling 2 hours here and then got to get up early in the morning and travel another 2 hours there, all for basketball reasons. You know what I'm saying? For basketball reasons, for coaching reasons. But, you know what I mean? I'm a little exhausted. So I was slacking on my job because I hadn't been here for a couple of days. Y'all gonna fire me? Y'all gonna trade me? What's up? Y'all gonna trade me?
It's all right. The MBK fan been holding it down for you.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let me read these stats out real quick, man. The Knicks, 52 rebounds tonight. The Pistons, 48. The Knicks won the rebounding battle. 22 assists for both teams. 5 steals for the Knicks, 9 for the Pistons. 7 blocks for the Knicks, 3 of them by Mitch. 4 for the Pistons. Both teams with 12 turnovers. The Knicks shot 44% from the field. The Pistons 36%. The Knicks 33% from the three-point line. The Pistons 24%. The Knicks shot 74% from the free throw line. The Pistons shot 79% for the most part from the three-point line. The Pistons, 48 points in the paint. The Knicks, 44. The Knicks had 23 second chance points. The Pistons, 12. 17 fast break points for the Pistons and 5 for the Knicks. Again, the Knicks were led in scoring by Evan Fournier and the Pistons by Saban Lee. Isaiah Stewart led the Pistons in rebounding. The Knicks were led by Mitchell Robinson, who had 14. Cade Cunningham, the rookie, 8 assists for the Pistons. Alec Burks had 6 assists for the Knicks. Saban Lee had 1 block for the Pistons, and Mitchell Robinson led the Knicks with 3 blocks. I'll tell you what, though, the Pistons team, they played hard, and they play hard. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't stopping. They kept coming. You know, no matter what, they kept coming and trying to win this basketball game. And sometimes that's all you can ask when you got a young team like the Pistons that's, trying their best to just be competitive. You know what I mean? That's all you can ask sometimes with young teams like this. Tony.
Yes, sir.
The lineups, man. How do you feel about the lineups and what you think the Knicks might do or Tom Thibodeau might do with the lineups as people start to get healthy?
I'm nervous. I ain't gonna lie. I was not a fan of the Kemba benching, especially moving him all the way into like situation or out of the rotation. And I don't know. I don't know what he's gonna do. You know what I mean? Like if what I want him to do, I want him to keep Kemba as the starter and play him based off of his performance. His minutes based off his performance. If he's getting killed, if he's not scoring, sit him down. Give him the Alfred Payton treatment. Is what I think should be done. But I can't call what Tibbs is going to do. You know what I mean? Because I didn't think he would have made such a drastic move when he did. So. To guess what he's gonna do, I don't know, but I hope Kemba can retain his starting role and because I thought it was too early, honestly, and if he's not gonna play him, I agree with Josh from yesterday, man. I think you gotta move him if you're not gonna play him, you gotta move him somehow, some way.
Yeah. Look, like I was, we were having a conversation about whether or not Tom Thibodeau could bring Kemba back into the lineup. I thought, hey, if you're looking for, if you made a mistake and you feel like this can erase the mistake or whatever it is, you do what you got to do. This right here opens the door because Josh was a little more concerned, like, what does this do to, the player's mindset, this, that, and the third. This opens the door where if he's playing well and Tom Thibodeau says, I think I need to keep him in there, you can do it, and I don't think anybody bats an eye.
Yeah, I
opens
think
the door.
I think it's the perfect opportunity. It for me, looking at it, it puts Tibbs back into that space that he's been in where, when guys got moved in their position last year, they got a chance to get back into the rotation. If they play well, they stay back in the rotation. You know what I mean? Like, so and it's good for the young guys to know, like, hey, I could mess up or I could fall out of rotation,
right,
and make it back. That stay ready, next man up, all that stuff that Tibbs preaches. I would think 2 good games back to back. I would think you gotta. The tough thing with the Tibbs thing is he said, I view him as a starter. So he doesn't have a role if he's not a starter, which was mind-boggling to me. So if he's not going to start him, and that means you're not going to play him at all, that is bad to me. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't, I still don't grasp that idea of I view him as a starter. So that's the only thing he could be. But I think he definitely opened the door with 2 good games back to back, where now Tibbs is going to have to make a decision even if it's against what he, his own better judgment, like his thought process. I think he has to consider it at the very least.
And also, Sim, like I mean, listen, it can definitely happen, right? Tibbs can say, or he can definitely insert Kemba back into the starting lineup. For me, the only thing I just want to make sure that whatever potential rift or whatever, because Kemba came out in the media and said that he hadn't spoken to Tibbs since that decision was made. I think that's a huge problem right there. I'm just hoping if Kemba goes back into that starting lineup, whatever little disagreement or whatever, I just hope that squash and that whatever potential rift is completely gone before he does it. And, he can at least swallow his sword, swallow his ego a little bit as the head coach. And maybe Kemba needs to swallow his ego too, and they can be able to make that come together.
So,
but if not...
Can I ask this question, though? When we look at that comment, because, that comment, has been analyzed and scrutinized. What is the conversation that we expected Kemba Walker and Tom Thibodeau to have? Once Tom Thibodeau said to Kemba, hey, look, man, I got to take you out the lineup. However that conversation went, I got to take you out the lineup. This is what I think is best for the team right now. And Kemba's like, I don't agree with that. I want to play, but I'm going to respect your decision, coach, and I'm going to be a good soldier. I'm going to be a good teammate. I'm going to support my teammates, blah, 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 blah. What else is the conversation that they're supposed to have after that?
Yeah, I think real quick. I think people are looking at it as if he's saying he hasn't said one word to me, and that's I don't believe that's the case.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's how I'm taking it. That's how I'm taking it.
I don't believe that's the case.
Because when they ask him, have you spoken to Tibbs? Do we know how Kemba's taking it? Do we know it's because the context to me is, have you spoken to Tibbs about your role? That's the context. And maybe he's like, no, we haven't spoken.
That's not what was said in the press conference, though. Sam.
What was asked?
That's not
what was asked.
They asked, have you spoken to Tibbs since the decision was made?
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. In the context of, are they saying, hey, does Tibbs say hi to you in the morning? No. To me, the context is, have you spoken to Tibbs? The context is about your role. And that's what I'm saying. When they ask Kemba, have you spoken to Tibbs? They're not asking, are you having general conversation every day? They're not asking, are you talking about the weather? Or are you talking about the price of milk? Yeah, they're talking about your role. So maybe they haven't spoken about the role.
But you mentioned context. We got to put everything into perspective here, right? That little not Facebook, but Instagram thing that you read, that's out there too. That's a part of the context.
But that's hearsay. That's somebody else.
But again, that's what I'm saying. I think that's all a part of it. You can't dismiss that part of it too. And on top of that, the team is not playing well. I'm saying everything has to be considered. We legitimately don't know.
We don't. I'm just saying. I just feel like. Go ahead.
I'm just saying it's very, very troubling for me when you have a veteran that's been in the NBA for 11 years, former All-Star, for him not to have any conversation with the coach in regards to basketball. That's what I'm saying. And I get it. We don't know what that's all about, but I'm saying with all the context that's not coming in there, you have to consider that to be a part of it. You have to consider that.
I just feel like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get to you, Tom. I just feel like that question is really in the context of you and your playing role on this team. He might not have said, have you spoken to Tibbs about your role on the team, about what's next, blah, 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 blah. But the context of which that question was asked, have you spoken to Tibbs, is about his role. That doesn't mean, who knows? They could have spoken about anything else.
So how come Kemba didn't say about what?
Because he understood the context.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Wait, I just answered the question. He didn't say about what because he understood the context.
I don't know.
See.
That's how I take it.
And you gotta think about it, man. The question came from the reporter, right? So right there, the reporters are always digging, poking. Mm-hmm. They trying to get something. He answered the exact question that was asked. Have you had a conversation with Tibbs since the demotion or whatever? You know what I mean? No. The context is, do you have a conversation about the demotion? sense the demotion. It's not about anything else. It's not about, hey, you doing good work in practice today. You know what I mean? Like you gotta, if you want to look at every one thing, you gotta look at everything. Look at look at the other players and how they talk about him. Look at Tibbs even said he hasn't changed since the demotion. He still comes in early. He still stays late. He's been great. Like he said these things about Kemba. So if
Kemba also cursed that Tibbs after he knocked down the three and looked at the Knicks bench and cursed that Tibbs. But no one wants to talk about that. You guys are just prettying this whole thing up.
Well, I didn't see. I don't know. I gotta see a replay.
I don't know.
I gotta see a replay. I gotta see a replay and what it said and what he said to Tibbs.
He was playing Boston. When I remember the play, I thought he was doing that to the Boston fans or to the Boston team. Like I didn't see it in that way. But when people said that, I remember what he did. So again, like Sim, I would have to go back and like really analyze it to see, was that directed to Tibbs, or was that just?
I'm gonna tell you what. I'm sorry. If he knocked down a shot and then he looked at Tibbs and cursed at him, I can guarantee you that man is getting fined right now. That man is getting fined. That's not happening. I'm sorry. And he's still on the floor playing tonight? Hell no. No.
I get it.
I'm sorry.
Hold on, Sam. Hold on. All I'm saying is I understand that we've been 20 years of Knicks and bruises. Shout out to Tony. 20 years of that. 20 years of the controversy within the organization. And I know we don't want to go back to that, right? But you cannot be so naive to think that none of this stuff goes on. I'm saying it's going on, and everything that we've been reading about, all these speculation, all that stuff, is out there. So I'm saying at least consider it. And even if that's there, I don't think it's that big of a deal to be catastrophic to the team. But if it is there, it needs to be fixed, or you have to Kemba. That's all I'm saying. We can't act like the Knicks is so perfect that no type of beef and all that stuff is not going on. Come on.
Obviously.
It's basketball. These guys are human beings.
Basketball.
That's all I'm saying. You have to consider it. That's all I'm saying.
But what I'm saying, every single basketball team is going to have a rift. Even your teams with the best chemistry is going to have something go on, a rift. People are going to disagree about the way this play should have went, the way that play should have went, what their role is. It's going to happen. It's no doubt about it.
Losing.
It's no doubt.
Right. And there was a major change in the lineup. They even took him out the rotation. So all that stuff has to matter. That's all I'm saying.
I get it.
It's perfect, and nobody's that's the way you're coming across. Like,
I get it. But what I'm saying is a man that has been totally professional throughout the entirety of his career.
Josh don't like hearing that. I had this argument with him yesterday.
Throughout the entirety of his career, is now just going to go off the walls. I understand what you're saying. He's never been taken out the lineup before. But I guarantee you there's been other situations in his career where he's had to deal with adversity, and you've never heard a peep from Kemba Walker.
In the media.
You've never heard anybody else ever come out and say anything. And anyone say, well, there's been this issue and that issue with Kemba, saying this and saying that.
Sam, all I'm going to say,
I just don't believe about it, dude, bro.
Just like I told Tony yesterday, when Tibbs told Kemba Walker that he was taking out the starting lineup and out the rotation, this is exactly what Kemba Walker did. He went into Tibbs' office with a Bible, and they sat there and they started praying. Everything is going to be all right. Everything is going to be good. That's what you're saying. It was all kumbaya.
Nope. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Kemba Walker has clearly said, I don't like my role right now, and he has the right to say that. He has the right to feel like that. What player wouldn't? I have several players on my team right now that if I asked them, how do you feel about not getting playing time, they said, Coach, I don't like it. But I'm going to do the things that you're asking me to do. Because you're the coach and you make the final decision.
Only time will tell, Sam. Only time will tell. We'll find out.
It doesn't mean that he's cursing Tom Thibodeau out.
I think he might be privately. He
could be privately. But I doubt he's being insubordinate to the man.
There you go.
I just don't see it.
I guess we'll find out. Only time will tell. And Tom Thibodeau's next novel, his next or Kemba Walker's next memoir.
I don't see it, and especially publicly cursing at him in a game, right? And nothing from anybody, not Tibbs, not the front office, nothing from anybody. Oh, you just
NBA players curse at their coaches sometimes. That happens.
Obviously, they get into arguments, but to make a shot and then look at the bench and publicly in front of everybody is something totally different.
Dwayne Wade did it.
It's something totally different. I don't see it. I don't see it happen. I'm sorry. People, people love to dig and look for drama. This is, that's what the NBA is, man. Reality TV at its best, and a lot of it is fueled by the fans and by the media. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Josh with the big controversy.
Hey, look what Savvy had to say.
Oh boy. Oh no, man.
That's funny.
Oh no. Mitchell Robinson. Let's talk about Mitch. Mitch had a really good game. You heard Spree talking about Mitch, right? And whether or not why we can't see this Mitch every night. You know what I mean? And maybe Mitch is, maybe he has lost, he's getting in better shape now. You know what I mean? Normally when you start playing, you do lose some weight. And maybe he's in playing shape a little bit more. And that's why you're seeing the type of energy that you're seeing from him. Or, like he said in his post-game interview, we're tired of losing. When you get your butt whipped so much, and you start to feel like you're backed in the corner, you come out scratching, biting and fighting. So maybe that's just what it is right now. I don't know. What you think, Josh? What do you think about Mitch?
I'm very excited about Mitch. I mean, I obviously looks like he lost some weight. He's in much better shape. He's all around the floor, all around the glass. The hustle plays that he made today. Very, very encouraged by what I'm saying from Mitchell Robinson right now. I don't know if it's enough, for me, if I'm the Knicks organization, to justify him getting a contract in the offseason, because I know that's going to be coming up. But he has been playing well, and I think that's very, very good to see. But we got to see more of that, and hopefully it can continue. But I really like what I'm saying from Mitch. The hustle plays, defense, being on the glass, 14 rebounds. That's a lot for Mitchell Robinson. And we talk about Mitchell Robinson needs to be in that top rebounding class. 14 rebounds is a lot for Mitchell Robinson. So I know the Pistons are very, very short down there, very, very small. But 14 rebounds is very encouraging for Mitchell Robinson. So good on him.
Hey, Tony?
I'm surprised, Josh, because, game to game, you'd be like, yo, he has no role on this team. And then, 2 games later, he's like, I'm very encouraged with him. But
he played well. I got to admit, he played well.
Nah, salute, for real. He did. The thing with Mitch, if you even think back to last year, he started off slow. It was a lot of the complaints about, do we keep him? He don't have value, but you know what I mean? We wanted more from him. And then maybe a month from now, maybe January, was it? When did he get hurt? Because I know the 10 games before he got hurt was the best Mitch we've seen. But it took him a third of the season before he started reaching that stride. I expected that again this year, especially coming off the injury, and I didn't know how much the weight was going to affect him, but I knew it was going to take time for him to reach that point that he was at last year before the first injury. And I think that's what it is. I think it takes him a little time to get to his peak. I think he's starting to peak, and I hope he can make it through the season and be as productive as he's been lately, and where he was before he broke his wrist. But I've always been high on Mitch. Remember, I'm the guy that said sign him now, lock him up, and don't have to worry about that during the season or after the season. So I'm encouraged by him. I think I actually like him with the second unit too. So when we're whole, I would love to see him running with quickly and Obi and Rose. But yeah, I'm high on Mitch. So
You know,
what
I'm
else
I'm
can I say?
always the same on Mitch. You know, people think I don't like Mitch. That's not true. I just want to see him do more of the little things. He can, one, I think he can play with energy every night. I think from the beginning of the season, you can tell that he was trying to learn how to play with the weight, and it was probably slowing him down a little bit. He wasn't able to be as light on his feet. He wasn't as able to be as quick on his feet. He played well tonight, very active. I think that a lot of that for Mitch has to do with matchups. You know what I mean? If you're playing a team that doesn't have a big center, he might look more active. He might be able to dominate a little bit more because he's touching the ball. He's able to rise up over top of people. But when you're playing with someone who has a little bit, the same size as him or can, bully him a little bit, I think, you probably see a little bit a different Mitch, and that's where I think Mitch has to be able to rely on those fundamental things that help him get, when the matchup is tougher, that help you get around it. You know what I mean? That's why I think Mitch sometimes is lacking, his inability to, use those type of fundamentals when you got a tougher matchup and you can't just jump over everybody or, those type of things. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what hurts Mitch.
I'll also add to the fact that because he doesn't have an offensive game, he's very limited. He's very limited on the floor. I get it. He gets his points off the second chance points and the hustle points and all of that. But, I mean, he just has shown me enough that the Knicks can justify signing him to a contract after this season. He just don't. And on top of that, you got Nerlens Noel, who you already paid the money. To me, I just think that, I don't see Mitchell Robinson being a Knick. I think this is his final season as a Knick. I don't think the Knicks are going to sign him to a contract. Really? Not with Nerlens Noel there. Yeah, if they had Nerlens Noel on a one-year deal, I can probably see it. But Mitchell Robinson, him and Nerlens Noel paying both of those guys $10 million. None of those guys can stretch the floor. I don't see Mitchell Robinson coming back as a Knick next year.
So if Mitch doesn't come back all right, then it only makes sense to move him. If you're not going to bring him back and you don't think you're going to...
He has no trade value. He doesn't have any trade value.
I don't know why
do you think that?
Because he doesn't make enough money to be even a trade filler in a trade. He doesn't have any trade value. Hold on. Let me tell you. Let me explain why. Why would a team go trade for Mitchell Robinson when they know they can potentially pick him up in the offseason? He doesn't make enough money to even be put in a trade.
Because they can extend him before the offseason.
So it would be a sign and trade. So it would be a sign and trade. That's what I'm saying. He would have to get signed to play long term in order for the trade to work.
But he can be part of a bigger deal. Right? It doesn't have to be Mitchell Robinson for just this person. He can be part of a bigger deal, and then in being part of that bigger deal, people are like, okay, we're getting Mitchell Robinson back as well. You know what I mean? And we have interest in re-signing Mitchell Robinson in the offseason.
What you should be saying is maybe a 1-for-1 trade. We're not going to get equal value back. I believe that. In a 1-for-1 trade, because now we're trading for somebody who's only bringing back a $2 million contract or so. Now, who else out there in the league is making $2 million that is going to have the value of a Mitchell Robinson?
I don't understand why a team would do a 1-for-1 trade and bring in Mitchell Robinson for $2 million when they can go get him in the offseason. They can keep the player they got as another tradable contract when they can go get Mitchell Robinson in the offseason. Why would they do that?
But it just all depends. It all depends. It all depends what kind of trade it is, and who knows. Who knows what? I mean, it's so many different types of deals that can be out there.
I'll give you two or a first round pick or two draft picks for them or something if they want them. If they feel like we're missing a center, and especially one of these contenders, because that's where the value is. We're bringing in a $2 million contract. We could do that. We could find some wiggle room to spare one of our rookies or whoever the case, low salary guys, and bring back a Mitchell Robinson and a guy that can help us immediately. Like, so
Tony, no championship caliber team or a winning team right now is trading for Mitchell Robinson right now. He does not have any trade value. He does not. He just doesn't.
Josh,
He doesn't.
I don't know about
Josh,
that.
I think you're wilding right now. The fact that he makes $2 million makes it even more of a value.
But he's on the last year of his $2 million contract. If this was a couple years ago, that'd be different, Tony. But this is the last year where a team can go out and outright sign him in free agency, and they don't have to give up nothing. That's what I'm saying.
The value is having him in the playoffs, having him for your run. That's the value. Like, if you bring him in now, he's on your team now. You use him now. That's the value.
Tony, it would make sense for a team to bring him in a sign and trade scenario, meaning you keep Mitchell Robinson around for some years, you can go above the cap to sign him because he's under contract at that point. That would make the most sense. So a team would have to commit to Mitchell Robinson long term in order to bring him in. That would be an increase in trade value. But his $2 million contract for 1 year being an expiring deal, that doesn't have any value.
What's the difference? What's the difference when we traded Mook on an expiring deal? Like
Mook was making $15 million. That's the difference. The money comes off the books. $2 million coming off the books is nothing.
They re-signed him.
But that's what I'm saying. $15 million, that's a trade filler. You have to have some money that can exchange hands. That's a tradable asset. Mitchell Robinson right now is not a tradable asset because he's only making $2 million right now in the final year of his deal. That's what I'm trying to say.
I understand what you're saying. You're just not making any sense.
I think what Tony's trying to say is his value right now is more than what he actually makes. So it makes him valuable to another team. You mean so a team could be thinking, you mean for the remainder of the season, we can get this production for this amount of money and it might fit right here. Hopefully we can sign him going into the offseason. And if they feel like Mitchell Robinson can help them get to this level or that level, right? Because some teams feel like if I like this guy and he's available now and I can get him for fairly cheap, let me get him now because I may have a lot of competition in the offseason.
Would we do that? Will we bring back a $2 million player for Mitchell Robinson?
Would we?
I don't know if we can find a $2 million player that has the value of Mitchell. That has the value of Mitchell Robinson. That's my point. He's worth more than his contract.
We may not, right?
We might do that and get a pick, and that be the value.
Right. We might get a pick, or you might throw him into a trade that is a sweetener to another, for a bigger move. If you're saying that the Knicks have no intentions in keeping him next year, then they might as well look to move him.
That's what I'm saying. Mitchell Robinson himself, as an asset with his contract, does not have any value. He's a good player. I'm not saying he's a terrible player or whatever, but I'm saying his contract for another team does not have any value. It's going to have to be a part of a bigger package, or they're going to have to sign him long term. It has to be a part of a sign and trade.
Or it can be for a pick.
I don't know if the Knicks are willing to do that. I just don't.
If they're not going to bring him back, why wouldn't you get a pick for him?
I don't know if the Knicks currently, as it stands, are willing to do that with Mitchell Robinson. I don't know if the front office is willing to do that.
I don't understand. If you don't want to bring him back, you already made up your mind. If you already made up your mind that you're not going to bring him back, I think you would take whatever you're going to get. You'd be happy with it because you're like, if I don't bring him back, I'm not going to get nothing. So I might as well get something.
You telling me a team is willing to give up a first-round pick for Mitchell Robinson right now?
I don't know. Depends on
if they felt like he was the missing piece. If they felt like he was the missing piece, it might not even be a first. So maybe it's 2 seconds.
Maybe it's
a future first. Maybe it's a protected first. What I'm saying is the fact that he only makes $2 million, they may be able to absorb his contract in a trade and not even send anything back except
not a championship team. A championship team is going to be capped out. Most likely. That's what I'm trying to say.
A championship team that's capped out can find a way to get $2 million off their books.
If they could, they can find a way to bring.
I bet you they can. They can find a way to clean up $2 million.
They do it all the time.
Just about any team can find a way to clean up.
I just don't think Mitchell Robinson I get you, Tony. I get it. He's only making $2 million. If this was last season, I think Mitchell Robinson would be a much better tradable asset because you know that you're going to have Mitchell Robinson at $2 million for a couple years, 2 or 3 years. But him being in the last year of his deal, it doesn't make sense for a team to go out.
But let me ask you this: Why do you think?
Sign him in the offseason.
Why do you think that the Knicks would rather keep Nerlens Noel for his $10 million than give Mitchell Robinson $10 million and move Noel?
Because so if that's the case, then I guess then you will have to sign Mitchell Robinson. I guess that if that's what it is. But I think because Nerlens Noel is already under contract, right? I think that they're gonna keep Nerlens Noel and get one of those guys are gone. One of them, at least one of those guys are gonna be gone. But I think as it stands right now, you can move Nerlens Noel's contract because it has some value in it. $10 million or whatever. So you can move him. You can put him a part of a bigger package because his money takes up that other chunk. See, that's what I'm trying to say.
That is a fact. But that doesn't change anything about Mitchell Robinson and his value at his price. It's just going to be a smaller deal. That's the only difference.
Right.
Or like Sim said, he'll be included with one of the higher paid salaries. So if it's a bigger deal, like somehow it's let's say it's Walker or Fournier. If it's Walker, that makes it $11 million player you're getting back. If it's Fournier, it makes it a $19 million.
I'm saying, I agree with that part of it. I agree a part of a bigger trade package, then yes. But the value, his contract by itself, the contract does not have any value. That's what I'm trying to say.
Let me ask you this, Josh. What's your favorite? Josh, what's your favorite sneaker?
My favorite sneaker?
Yeah.
I would say Jordan 10.
How much do they cost?
Depends on what
the market. On the market. Just on the market. Just
the
average price.
About a couple grand.
Okay, a couple grand. Okay, a couple grand. Oh, so let's say $2,000. And you could get a pair for $1,000. Would you do it?
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Would you agree that Mitchell Robinson's value as a player is more than $2 million? Would you agree? Would you agree that his value? Would you agree? Yes or no? I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're trying to say. I do get it. You're
making the wrong argument. The argument should be for us. We're not going to get the right value back trading Mitchell Robinson.
Right. I get what you're saying, but would you agree that his value is more than $2 million as a player?
Yeah, easily. I totally get that. Yes, I agree with that. I'm not talking about Mitchell Robinson himself. I'm talking about his contract. Because it's $2 million in the last season, I don't think a team will be willing to part with any of their assets when they know they can get Mitchell Robinson in the offseason. That's what I'm saying.
But like I said, some teams, if you really covet this player, may say, let's get him now rather than wait and take the chance that somebody else can get him. Let's get him here in our system with our people. We can talk to him, especially if I'm just giving up a draft pick or if I'm giving up a player that maybe I have a player that I'm not going to sign next year and I know I'm not going to sign him. So
I don't think any teams cover Mitchell Robinson that much.
I don't know. Okay.
We might have. And
there you go.
And this is why, by the way, salute to the panel, salute to the chat. You know, it's a pleasure to be here. What's up, Tone? How you doing?
What up, Savvy?
I'm feeling like Julius Randle too. I've been under the hood of my car all day. But yeah, no, that's why I was saying, like, I'd like to keep him. I'd like to see him be healthy for 2 consecutive whole seasons, and let him adjust to his body and get fit and get some real momentum. And maybe we sign and trade or do something like that. If he doesn't want to be a Knick long term, if we can at least get some more production out of him, really, really assess this talent, you know, at a healthy, continuous, point, and then see if maybe we could entice Portland into a trade, or maybe Utah into a trade or something like that. You know what I mean? But there's a decent free agency coming up next season, in this coming off season. So I don't know, but I see what Josh is saying though. Like, there's not that much time left on his contract, so
I get that.
I mean, you're buying in low. If you send him somewhere desirable, then he'll probably re-up with him. You know what I mean?
No team is giving up a first-round draft pick for Mitchell Robinson. I'm sorry.
But see, what I'm saying is,
I don't think.
I mean, but the thing is,
I don't think
what I'm saying is that you're buying in low. So if you don't sign him in off season, I got him for $2 million.
remember, this is a second round pick that blossomed into something much greater. So it's going to be hard to get a diminishing return for that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of ways to win in the trade like that. But there's validity to what Josh is saying. There's not that much time left on this contract. Like if we were to see him go for another year, let's say he has another step forward next year, we sign him and trade him. That would be probably much more lucrative than what we could get for him now.
I mean,
all right. So that's what I'm saying. If he's saying where the return is not going to be high, then I agree with you.
Right.
I am saying that.
Oh, then I misunderstood you.
So then you're saying the Knicks wouldn't be willing to do it because it's going to be a low return, or are you saying another?
No. I'm saying both. I'm saying both of those things. And I'm saying because he only makes $2 million, the return is not going to be that much. But what I'm saying is for the other team, it makes no sense for another team to trade for someone like Mitchell Robinson that they know is going to be a free agent in the offseason. It doesn't make any sense for them. Like if they're like. This time last year.
I get it.
If the Knicks would have traded Mitchell Robinson last season for the other team, that's a win for them because they know they have Mitchell Robinson under contract for at least another year at $2 million.
That makes sense.
Because he's expiring right after this year, right? And his contract is not worth anything. Like the money, $2 million is not a lot coming off the books.
Understand that.
But so you win now. That's the thing.
That's any teams believe
okay,
that.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about these lineups, right? Because the Knicks, Tom Thibodeau, is in a precarious situation right now. Where it almost feels like to Knicks fans probably that it's like all over the place right now. You know what I'm saying? Because of everything that's going on with COVID, and you got. You had Quentin Grimes, had a great game. Miles McBride had a great game. And both guys look like they can be rotation players. Right now, Kemba Walker's coming on and Evan Fournier is coming on. And it's like, okay, what do we do now with all these guys that can be rotation players? Now what? You know what I'm saying? Definitely there's a big call out there from fans and everybody else for Miles McBride to play, based on his ability to play defense. Now, it looks like he can facilitate out there. You know what I mean? But now Kemba Walker is playing like the guy that we thought, well, at least for 2 games, the guy that we thought we were getting. So now when these guys get back healthy, what does Tom Thibodeau do? Tony, I'll start with you.
What do I want him to do? What do I think he's going to do? I want him to go to Kemba, Fournier, RJ, Randle, and I keep Noel and as a starter, and really just see. I mean, I know. I would just see where it goes. Live with the result. I like the young guys. They've been saving us all year long. We still have that to look forward to. I like Mitch with those young guys. Just more running, more rebounding, more like they just play free. I think it'll be less pressure on Mitch. What do I think he's gonna do? I think he's gonna go back to what he said, and Kemba's gonna be out the rotation, and it's gonna be tough. I just hope if he does go that way, that he moves him sooner rather than later.
I'm gonna say this because if they do that, they need to just go ahead and move him like right away. Don't even put him on the bench. Just say, oh, we got to trade for Kemba. Boom, he's moved. That way, it's done. Instead of having him, just sit out there on the bench. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't want to see that. I think if the protocol's clear and we're rolling, you gotta let that ride out. You know what I'm saying? I'm the kind of person if something's working, let that ride until it doesn't work. You feel me?
Yeah. feel you.
And a part of me feels like a lot of the reason why we're seeing a resurgence in Kemba is that, like, it's a return to just being grateful to play. You know what I'm saying? I think we're gonna see a lot of guys come back from not being able to play because of protocols or what have you, and be grateful to play. And that might be good for the team chemistry because people are just happy to be on the court, happy to be back in the mix together, and it kind of makes all that BS fade away, assuming that the BS was there to begin with. You feel me? And if so, then we let it ride out. If something doesn't work out and we got to put Burks back coming in as a 6-man, then RJ can get back in there. But I mean, I don't want to make too much ado about a win against Detroit, but the rotation looked good, man. Like, I wasn't mad at it.
Well, I mean, he ain't nobody to put out there on the floor. He can't help but to look good. He couldn't put nobody out there.
That's true. That's why I want to see us play a really good
Right.
matchup, because I want to see how they go. And it seemed like if we do some more high screen and roll, it might not matter who we swap out at certain spots because the main cast is able to come gel together and get the stuff together. We still got
Right.
Fournier, Randle, and the main guys out there. You know what I mean? The main difference is Kemba.
Okay. Yeah. Let's hear from
Hey,
Kemba.
Sim.
Oh, go ahead, Tony. Go ahead, Tony. Then we'll hear from Kemba.
I wanted to know if you could help me wrap my head around the whole. I view him as a starter, and then like there's no other role for him. Like, have you ever felt that way about a person? And if not, or if so, do you understand what Tibbs is saying? Because I don't get it.
I understand what he's saying. I do. Like, he's a starter in this league. He may not fit with this team, basically, is what I think he was saying. He's a starter in this league for somebody somewhere, and I view him as a starting point guard, but he may not fit with us. He may not be a starter for this team. You know what I mean? I had a job one time. I worked at a place, and there was a bunch of drama going on, and they wanted to bypass this guy for a position almost purposely, right? And, they came to me and said, well, will you take this certain position? And I was like, no, I'm not gonna take it because I'm not gonna do this guy dirty. I know, like, he had been working for years for this job. He was promised this job. He got his master's degree so he can take this job. And now you're coming to me, a young guy who really doesn't know what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And I said, no. And they called me into the office and said, well, if you don't take this job, we don't have one for you. And I was already working. I already had a job. If you don't take this job, because we're restructuring, if you don't take this job, we don't have one for you.
All right, but that made sense to you at the time? Like, you
because it made sense because they were basically going to get rid of the position that I had. You know what I'm saying? So since they were getting rid of the position that I had, it was either you take this job or we don't have one for you. You know what I'm saying? I just ended up leaving altogether. But so I mean, I kind of get it. Basically, that's what he's saying. That's basically what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? We don't see you as we want someone else to start. We want something different than what you provide. You might be a starter in this league for another team, but not for this one. I think that's basically, I think that's what he's saying.
And I mean, I guess because he kind of did say, he likes the bench. I want to keep that intact. So that aspect, I understand. I just felt like an easy fix would have been not putting Burks in a starting lineup, and because he also used the excuse of not wanting to play 3 small guards.
Right.
But if you move quickly or Rose to start, now you know what I mean. I think that could have worked.
Right.
And then my last point on this because I haven't spoken to you in a minute, but prior to these last 2 games, Kemba only played 9 minutes without Julius Randle, which again is another reason for me to say, give him more minutes with, with some other lineup, whatever it is, second unit, like however you do it. But if he only played 9 minutes without Randle, I don't think he even got a chance to maybe be himself, be who be who he is. He's used to being a number one option. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Let's hear what Kemba. I'll come back to that. Let's hear what Kemba has to say.
I'm just being aggressive. I think I'm being more aggressive now than I was in the beginning of the season. I think that's the biggest difference.
And in terms of just the chemistry with your teammates as well, seeing the changes?
Yeah, I'm seeing the change. I'm just being myself, trying to do what I can to keep us upbeat. I think that's a little bit of what we've been missing a little bit, throughout the season, throughout the year. It's just the overall joy for the game. So I'm just trying to do my best to just keep us upbeat, keep us positive, especially when things aren't going our way. That's when you got to stay together the most.
There hasn't been a lot to be happy about here. You guys have not won in this building in a while, and there were a few times you were spot out there in the second half. Just that you guys need just some happy moments.
Why the Knicks cameraman always messing up?
Throughout the course of the games of a game, teams are going to go on runs. It just is what it is. This is the NBA. No matter who you're playing, no matter a team's record, guys are here for a reason. So, when those guys are making their run, you got to try your best to just stay positive, man. Stay in the moment, and just keep fighting, keep scratching and clawing, try to get a win.
Kind of looked like you guys were really trying to find Mitch at the rim. What kind of impact can you have on his team as he plays his way at both ends?
Oh, he was unbelievable tonight. He put so much pressure on the rim, on both ends. Whenever he rolls, he just draws a lot of attention, and then if we put it in the air, he can go get it. So, I was just reading the defense as best as I could. He did a great job. He was very special.
Kemba, Mitch mentioned on the broadcast after the game that you guys had a meeting that he said was helpful for you guys. I was wondering if you had any insight into that.
Nah, I didn't know we had a meeting. I don't know. I wasn't there.
Well, I'm also curious to know when Mitch is playing behind you and he's just altering shots like that at the rim, how much is that? Just how much of a luxury is that for you when you're out there on the perimeter?
Oh, it's great. It's great. It's great knowing that I know somebody who has my back. I know he's going to be at the rim for me. I know if he's not going to block it, he's going to just make it tough on guys. He helped me a lot. There's a lot of situations I was in tonight where, he got some late contests, which really, changed their shot, which made a really huge impact. So, when he's playing like that, man, he's a beast. He's a very special player, man. We got to get him to continue to be that way.
A big part of your game is pick and roll. You've had a lot of success in your career with it. So, what's it like having other guys learn you and you learn them in terms of positioning and role?
Yeah, it takes time. It takes time, but guys just they got to know. The bigs, they got to know. I just need a little bit of space, to be honest. Just for those guys to get a piece of my man. Every screening roll is going to be different. Sometimes the big's going to hold, sometimes he's going to slip. You're going to set a quick one and get out real quick. So, we still trying to get that chemistry down packed.
Kemba, what have these last two games been like for you from a mindset standpoint? Have you almost felt like you were fighting for something, fighting for your career?
For my career? Not really. I'm just enjoying myself. I've been having a lot of fun these last two games. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to do what I can to help this team win. Whether I'm on the court or off, that's my mindset. do what I can to help the team win.
You mentioned the word joy. Is the joy starting to come back for you tonight?
Yeah. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I had fun last game, had fun this game. I want to continue to have fun as long as I'm out there.
Does that make it hard when you have to accept something like you did? The team was not winning. I assume it's easier if the team, you have to sit back and watch and the team wasn't winning without you out there.
What's that? I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
But to make it harder, you have to accept going to the bench and the team wasn't winning games.
But yeah, it's tough. I mean, who wants to lose? Who wants to lose, whether I'm out there or not? I mean, it's not really fun to lose. So yeah, it was nothing to really be joyful about, But like I said, I was doing what I can to, cheer my teammates on. When I wasn't playing. Now that I am, I'm gonna continue to, bring that energy and bring the joy.
As a veteran, you guys always give rookies. Who's your rookie, and are they in COVID protocols, and what's the message to them, to your rookie?
I don't know if you always get rooks. It's just about guys who gravitate towards you. I mean, I get along with everybody, but yeah, I mean, Deuce, it's my guy. QG, my youngin as well. All of those guys, all the young guys, But my message to those guys is just get back quick, because we playing a lot of minutes out there. We need some more bodies. So get rid of that COVID.
All right, let's go.
That's
All right. Anything interesting there from Kemba Walker? Josh, I'll start with you, because we're gonna get a time tip.
No Bible study.
Yeah, I mean, it's just more of hearing the same things. More of the playing good for the media and all that, always saying the right things. So it's what I expect out of Kemba and what I expect out of Knicks PR. And one more thing, the last game where Kemba Walker played well, the Knicks PR intentionally prevented his press conference from being put out there on their website. That's all I gotta say.
So what did he say in the press conference?
I didn't know, because the Knicks PR kept it out of there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some guys. There's some reporters that were obviously there. And normally they write about it. That's why I'm asking. Like this, Steph Bondi. Anybody say anything about what he said?
Well, it was Mark Berman. Mark Berman said that. About the whole thing about him not talking to Tibbs for a long time or whatever since the decision was made. So Mark Berman actually came out and said that in the interview that he had. But the actual interview itself,
right,
was not put out there for people to see.
Right. Probably because it was already out there from Mark Berman and said, you know what? Like Tony's doing right there, poking the bear. Poking the bear.
Christmas shopping.
Poking the bear.
It's clickbait, man. You falling right in the trap.
First of all, the Mark Berman interview was yesterday. The game was the day before. So the Knicks PR didn't hide that because it was Mark Berman. All right, so that's not blaming on Mark Berman.
I'm not blaming anything on Mark Berman. That don't mean that they didn't know it was coming out. Trust me.
I know what articles on Mark Berman.
And if he's asking insightful questions, trying to get a insightful answer, then yeah, maybe they will hold it back. Maybe they just try.
What's there to hide?
There's already negative press going around. Like New York has a field day with this kind of stuff, as do we. You don't want transparency. You don't want that says Kemba needs to go out in the media and say it. If he's actually he needs to go out and say it. What I said was, if he said either I'm starting or I don't want to play, he should say that and not have that fall and look like
transparency. I got you. Transparency.
Yeah. So that's specifically what I said, though.
Right, but that's transparency, right? You'll be okay if the Knicks PR puts that out there.
No, I would want that from Kemba.
But it's okay if the Knicks PR puts that out there instead of hiding it.
I would want that. I would want to hear that from Kemba.
From the press conference. From the press conference, you would want to hear it from him. So you want the Knicks PR to put that out there instead of hiding it.
Yes, if that's what he said.
That's okay. That's what I'm saying. But the Knicks didn't put everything out there. They tried to hide something.
Maybe it was the question they was hiding, not the answer. Maybe it was the question, not the answer.
Okay.
Maybe. Well, let's listen to Tom. Let's hear Tom Thibodeau. This is Tom Thibodeau. Nice game.
I feel you.
Said I watched too much Love and Hip Hop. That's funny.
A lot of credit to all the guys because there's a lot of moving parts right now, and to find a way to win is the most important thing. I thought Kemba, Julius, not feeling his best, but just playing tough, and Kemba making plays. I thought Alec was great for us, playing huge minutes. You can't say enough about what Mitch did. That's his best game right there. It's a monster game, big play after big play. I don't want to overlook what Taj did. Taj is playing 3, 4, sometimes 5. Those were big minutes. I thought Wayne went in there, gave us good minutes. Dot went in. He just got here today, got in there and played well. We had, Nerls got in there. He got hit with a ball at halftime, so it set us back a little bit. But Mitch stepped right in and played huge for us. But big plays down the stretch, Kemba making big shots, all that stuff, and we needed all of it. We took a hit to start the fourth, but you got to be able to take a punch and find a way to win, and that's what we did.
Tom, you mentioned Mitch.
Yeah.
In the game they had, especially that fourth quarter, the whole, really at both ends of the court.
Yeah.
Giving you guys a lot of energy. Is that what you're looking for from them?
Yeah, just on both ends of the floor, as you mentioned, the offensive rebounding is huge. The pressure on the rim, huge. I thought Kemba found him on the lob, in that sort of gets him going too. And so, and then protecting the rim, he and Nerls give us elite rim protection. And that's how right now. That's how we have to play. We just have to find a way to win.
Feels like every time we talk to you about Mitch now, we talk about his conditioning in some capacity. Tonight, though, he had so many moments, not just around the rim, but on the perimeter.
Yeah.
Times where you just have to move. Is he looking better to
Yeah,
you?
and he was out for a very long period of time. So I think he's made a conscious effort to get into better shape. He's put extra work in, and he's finding his rhythm. It's a lot of this is, for a big guy like that, it's timing, rhythm, conditioning. It's all of the above, and you're asking him to be the anchor of the defense, communicate, multiple effort plays, cover up for mistakes, and you can't do that unless you're in great shape. So it's something that we have to continue to work on. But he's gifted in a lot of ways that can make your defense really good. And so I thought Evan, same thing. He's found a good rhythm. His shooting is invaluable to us. And at the end of the game, when you have Alec and Kemba and Evan, you got 3 guys that could go off the dribble. And then when you put Julius in those plays and the pick and rolls, he commands so much attention, it opens up the floor. And then we just got to trust each other, and that's what I liked. I liked the plays that we made for each other, and when we spray the ball out like that, and you get good rhythm shots, you're going to make those.
He started the second half.
Pardon?
Mitch started the second half.
Yeah, I thought I mentioned it earlier. Like Nerls got hit with something, and so they were flushing his eye. He couldn't see, so that was good fortune or misfortune that ultimately turned out to be good fortune because Mitch got on a roll. But obviously, Nerls being in there is huge for us. Like, and those guys, what they're doing at the rim is special.
Back to Evan, are you seeing his game being a little bit more aggressive offensively or more defensive?
Yeah, and I think he and Julius are really starting to develop a real good chemistry, and so sometimes things take time, but he's finding his rhythm, and it's obvious when you push the ball up the floor, you got to get stops to do that, and those 3 threes are great rhythm threes for him, and oftentimes that's what gets him going. But then I think it's also important for us when we do get into the half court to play with speed there too, to not play slow. So when we do that, we usually can, create good shots for each other. But if we play slow, we're going to have problems.
When you talk about finding a way to win, is that kind of just what it is right now? You can't practice. Guys are in and out. Probably lineups haven't played together with each other. You just got to go out there and sort of learn it on the fly.
Yeah, like so you go with when the new guys are out there, you have a much smaller package. You don't want to overload them. You want to make sure that you can function, and so you give them a basic, and they get teaching tapes, and they're spending a lot of time with the coaches, going through things, and we'll make sure that we continue to work with them. And you need everyone, so just get in there and get the job done.
Talk a lot about campus professionalism.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, great. Yeah, no, terrific. So big shot making, very creative off the dribble. So it was excellent.
You guys, look back all the time, it's happened a couple times now where the little wing on Noel and
Yeah.
guarding Julius.
Yeah.
How do you like your guys to attack in those sorts of situations?
Well, we often talk about flopping positions because we know. So I would just say 4 or 5 flop. So they're just switching positions. So that's why it's important for everyone to know multiple positions. The same thing could happen with the wings. Sometimes you'll see that with size on a point guard. So everyone has to be ready to flop position. So there's a segment of practice where guys are they're taking every position. So I feel it's a good way for them to learn. And what we're seeing is a lot of switching now. So how do we attack the switches? And so we got to get comfortable with everyone understanding what positions there are out there and what we're looking to do. Appreciate you pointing that out. That's great. No, it's vital. It's vital. We got to play. We got to play a lot tougher here. I think being in New York, you're going to get every team's best shot. I know what it was like on both ends. When I was here in the '90s, what that was like, and then when I was coaching an opponent, I know how the players feel about coming to play in Madison Square Garden. It's a special place, so you're getting their best shot. So, we got to be ready for that challenge. We got to find a way to win games.
Has anything in the last 2 games changed your evaluation of Kemba, where he might fit in going forward?
Oh yeah, to me, I have to base it on what the players are doing right now. So, whoever gives us the best chance to win, you're going to be in there, and then performance matters. If you're playing well, right, you're going to be in there. That's the way it works. And I love Kemba. And my job is to do what's best for the team. And so he's playing great basketball, right? All the credit in the world to him. But the team winning is the most important thing. When we win, yeah, it's great.
Can you talk about Evans' defense on Cade Cunningham today?
Yeah, no, when Evan is locked in and focused, he's capable of playing very good defense. And that's what we need from everyone. Our margin of error is small, and if we don't shoot the ball well, if we play great defense and we rebound the ball and we take care of it and we don't turn it over, we're going to be in position to win. So I want all our players to be two-way players. And obviously his strength is his ability to put the ball in the basket, but he's capable of playing great defense.
What are you seeing with Alec in the starting lineup versus RJ?
It's Alex, he's just the versatility, and obviously we miss RJ, so and that's what I love about Alec is you can start Alec, you can bring Alec off the bench, you could play him at 4 different positions, and he's the ultimate pro. He understands what every position is, whatever you ask him to do. The team is always first. He's willing to sacrifice for the team, and you can't ask for anything more from a player. So it's special. We're looking forward to getting our guys back, and we miss RJ, but this is part of the NBA. When someone's out, the next guy has to get in there and get the job done.
All right, thanks, Tips.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. That was Tom Thibodeau, ladies and gentlemen. And you can find that interview on the Knicks YouTube page. You can also find Mitchell Robinson's interview on the Knicks YouTube page. Go ahead and go get over there and check it out. Make sure you subscribe. He talked about Evan Fournier right there at the end. Said when he's locked in, he can play very good defense. You think he's giving that same message to Evan Fournier behind closed doors?
Say Evan Fournier 3 times, Andy gonna show up.
We'll see. He'll be here tomorrow morning.
I'm playing. I'm playing. But hey, man, hopefully, dog. Hopefully. And y'all, just in case y'all want some extra outtakes, we'll see what that IG story looking like on Mitchell Robinson's IG page. All right.
Yeah.
I definitely hope Tibbs is having this conversation again as a head coach of any team. You got to make sure all your guys are performing well, get all your guys ready to play. You got to push some buttons to get guys to play well. So hopefully Tibbs is pushing those buttons with Fournier. He said, from what we hear, it sounds like he still believes in him. So hopefully Fournier can continue to play well, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will see what happens.
I'm just
Tibbs
so mad.
strikes me as the kind of guy that's going to be pretty straightforward with you, but you never know.
That's what's up, though, because like sometimes a guy like that needs, some stern, a stern message. You know what I mean? All that nonsense with the steaks and sucking. Sometimes you need to just have a heavy hand with it and be like, "Yo, my man, shut up and defend."
Yeah. No doubt.
I know in Europe, they focus on these fundamentals. We need to bring that here. I don't care if you didn't play defense your whole life. You're playing for Tibbs now.
I did notice this. So in Mitchell Robinson's interview, he said that the Knicks had a team meeting. Kemba said he didn't know about it. He wasn't at no meeting.
He left him off bad and bougie now.
He also laughed. I mean, I couldn't see it visually, but I heard him laughing. So I assumed he was messing with the reporter. But Josh, what do you think?
No, I'm excited. No, hey, don't ask me what I think. You just heard a big contradiction there. And even if it's not a contradiction, why would they have a team meeting if there's nothing? Why would they have a team meeting in the middle of this? Here goes them. They have team meetings all the time.
Why wouldn't they have a team meeting? I mean, if they're not playing well, they're gonna have a team meeting.
We
suck right now.
in the last 10.
We suck. We're below 500. We're gonna have a team meeting.
Where there's smoke, there is fire. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
I'm just saying.
When there's Josh this Friday.
You already know.
Yeah, shout out to AA. Mitch said there was a good team meeting. Yeah, that's what we're talking about right now. I mean, but why wouldn't they have? Of course, they're gonna have a team meeting, Josh.
I think there was something going on in the locker room that they had to fix. And maybe it's fixed and it's all over with and it's all done. I'm not saying it's going to be prolonged and anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But you can't tell me you take Kemba Walker out the start lineup and out the rotation that no one's gonna feel some type of way about that. Now, not just Kemba, but other players on the team. Come on now. Come on now.
All right. I mean, they might. Jamal Crawford does. We know that.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe Kemba? I mean, Tony, I think you're right. You seen him like, or maybe that was a sarcastic laugh, right? Maybe they had a team meeting. He wasn't in the team meeting. He was left out. So, and then he found out, and so he gave a laugh to somebody, whoever he was looking at over there. I don't know. Or maybe it's just a joke in the locker room when Mitch said, "I'm gonna tell everybody we had a team meeting." Watch.
Team meeting.
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
I'm just saying. And then he looked over at Mitch to laugh. I don't know. You never know. Just saying. Could be anything. 1975 Jamrock said, "Would you trade Quick for Anthony Simons? I like him."
No.
I don't know.
Nah, Quick
Anthony is nice.
Lightning in a bottle for me.
Nice.
I love Quickly.
I don't know.
I love Quickly too, man. You know what I'm saying? And the style of play that Quickly has is something that we need on this team. We need a shooter. You know what I'm saying? Simons is a great all-around player. He's going to have a great career. I've had my eyes on guys like him and Shea Gilgeous forever, but I just don't see it in the cards. I'd love to have him on a free agent tip though.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. You know, the Knicks had a team meeting. I guess Kemba wasn't there. I don't know what they was laughing about. We'll see what's going on, man. We'll see what's going on.
And you know, Sim.
You know, and Public Enemy, the Public Enemy said, you know, Taj was laughing. It was Taj that was laughing with Kemba. You know,
that's funny.
Probably. I don't know.
It might be like what my college roommates used to do about one of the other roommates. I found out one day when I was just rolling with them that they would have a brunch once a week and just sit there and just roast this man's life.
Insider jokes.
You just clean roast.
And it could have been insider jokes. You know what I'm saying,
bro? And just vent.
Or Mitch wasn't supposed to say we had a team meeting. Or
maybe Mitch wasn't supposed to say it.
It's a team meeting.
Right.
Not a, you know what I mean? So he's playing yo, dude, you're not supposed to say that. Well, I don't know nothing about
and he looked over at Taj, and Taj is just like, this dude. You know what I'm saying? They say, you never know. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here.
Wow.
I'm out of here, ladies. Okay, let's get some final words in here, man.
Real quick, I just got 3 quick points that I want to make this to sum up my entire takes from tonight. Okay, first and foremost, that lineup that Tips put out there to start this game, I think that should be the starting lineup. I think that lineup works well together. People are gonna say, oh, you want to bench RJ? Here we go. I just think that lineup together, because Burks is a little bit more dynamic than RJ. You put Burks at the 3, you have Fournier at the 2. I think that lineup works really well, and RJ plays better with the younger kids off the bench, in my opinion. That's the reason why I would want to do that.
Did Noel start?
Nerlens started.
I love it. I'm rocking with that. I'm rocking with that.
That's just me personally. That's what I would do. Second thing that I want to say, I'm not saying, you know, Mitchell Robinson or Nerlens Noel is better than Mitchell Robinson. I'm not saying that at all. But when I bring up the thing about the contract, what I'm saying is, because Mitchell Robinson makes $2 million this year, in order for him to trade his contract to have value, it would have to be a part of a signing trade. So a team would have to sign him for $10 million or whatever the case may be, and then extend him for a few more years. That would make his contract a little bit more valuable. If not that, let's say they take on Mitchell Robinson for his $2 million or whatever, then he hits unrestricted free agency, he'll have to get paid more. So what I'm saying is his current contract value is not a lot right now. That's what I'm trying to say. It's very difficult for the Knicks to move him, unless it's a part of a bigger scenario or it's like a sign and trade kind of thing, right? And the third and final thing that I want to say, I'm just hoping that if there was whatever rift or whatever in the locker room with the Knicks or what have you, that it's not that big of a deal. The Tibbs and the whole team can get past it and we can move forward with the season, because it's going to be better for the organization in the long run. And that's what I'm hoping for. That's all I got to say.
Okay. All right. Tony, you got some last words?
I'm just happy to be back, man. Shout out to the chat. Great show today. Shout out to the panel. Sim, keep doing your thing. Your blackest time. All that.
Yeah, no doubt. Appreciate it. And Savvy.
Tune in next time for another episode of The Young and the Winless. Starring Uncle Fulio, Tony Crow, Savvy D, and of course your host with the most, Simeon Russell. Now I'm playing though. If you would have told me that we'd be here last season before the playoffs began, I would have been like, nah. But it's been a wild season. COVID's tearing through, this drama in the locker room, maybe. Mark Berman's talking to newspapers and all that. You know, let's just hope that our head coach our front office and our head coach have a like mind and a stable fortitude going forward, and that can see us through. You know, I believe in us. We have a lot of basketball left to play, you know, and we could knock off a team up out of there, get into the play-in at least.
I hope so. Where we at right now? What are we? 14 and 17?
14 and 17.
14 and 17 right now on the season, in the 12th spot. Atlanta's 14 and 15. Toronto's 14 and 15. Boston is 15 and 16. Boston right now is in the 9th spot. Charlotte 16 and 17. They're in the 8th spot. And the Wizards are 16 and 15. Philly is 16 and 15.
Look how close that is.
It's close.
Don't panic.
It's close.
Don't panic, everybody.
The Knicks have a chance right now with the way their schedule is over the next, 15 to 20 games to make up some ground. We'll see what's up. See what they can do. Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here. Appreciate your time. After I finish basketball practice tomorrow, which is at 12 p.m., try to get a shoot around in. So I'm out. Catch y'all tomorrow. Peace.
This is MBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench.